So I've been using the iPhone Air as my main phone for coming up to a month now. After a month, there's a mix of small surprises and a few annoyances that I didn't expect. Now this year, I've actually downgraded my iPhone 16 Pro Max to the iPhone Air because I wasn't really using my 16 Pro Max to its full potential. In fact, I'm pretty sure 99% of the people that have a Pro Max phone don't use it to its full potential either. The first thing that I noticed about upgrading or downgrading to the iPhone Air is just the weight of it. It's just so light, so thin, and it's complete night and day difference between the Pro Max, which honestly still feels like a brick to me now. Throw a case on this and this thing is a wedge, but this has just been brilliant. Now I get that's the main selling point of the iPhone Air, but to be honest, it is quite a big one. And once you experience one of these in real life, you'll really start to see what I mean. This thing is so light that sometimes I forget it's even in my pocket. That's how light it is. One of the most underrated features is we've gone from a 6.9-inch screen on the 16 Pro Max to a 6.5-inch screen on the iPhone Air, which honestly is the perfect size for one-handed use. You've still got the advantages of having a big phone, but you can just use it so much easier with one hand. And also while you're holding the phone as well, one thing that you don't have to worry about is blocking out the speaker, because there isn't really one. There's no speaker at the bottom of the phone. It's all coming through the earpiece speaker. Now this would have been a huge turn off for me, but surprisingly Apple does speakers exceptionally well, and I was actually pretty blown away by the sound quality that's coming essentially out of this little sliver at the top of my phone. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not a heavy phone user, so just doom scrolling social media, watching the odd YouTube video, maybe listening to some music, but not seriously. This speaker is fine for that. And also for phone calls, it's super loud. The voices have got really nice clarity to them. And for such a small speaker, there is actually quite a good bit of bass on it as well. This is one of my main worries with the iPhone Air, but luckily, it hasn't actually been too bad. And like I said before, no matter how you grip your phone, you'll never be blocking this speaker accidentally, so that's a good advantage as well. And speaking of gripping your phone, you can actually now take selfies in landscape without having to tilt your phone like that, thanks to the new square camera sensor. This has been a new thing throughout the new iPhone 17 range, and honestly, it is quite underrated. You've got way more control and way more grip when you hold your phone like this, so being able to take a landscape selfie is honestly genius. I really hope other phones start to copy this now, because it's a really good feature that honestly, I might not be able to live without. Performance-wise, the iPhone Air's been pretty smooth. The only slight stutters I've noticed is when I unlock the phone quickly, open an app, close it again, and then scroll on my home screen a bit. I do notice it's a little bit stuttery there, but that can hopefully be fixed with software updates. Also, in terms of thermals, I do notice that this part just under the camera bar here gets quite hot, and I like to rest my finger on this little camera bar, so you do start to feel it get quite warm if you've got lots of apps open in the background or you're multitasking, or even I found when I was setting up this phone for the first time, it got quite hot. But no, it's nothing alarming. It's not overheating in my pocket or hurting my hand or anything. So it's manageable, and honestly, I'm quite surprised by the performance. I'm not one for doing benchmarks and spreadsheets and all this stuff comparing all these arbitrary figures. I'm more about just real world use. So if you're the same, then definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video, and I can start reviewing more stuff as the average person, I guess. The number one thing people ask me about the iPhone Air is what the battery life's like. And honestly, for me, it's actually been quite good. I was really surprised that I can get about 2 days out of this thing. I actually took it away for the weekend without any charger in my bag whatsoever. And with heavy use on the first day, I just about scraped by using low power modes and not using my phone as much. However, if I ever get caught off guard like that again, this is where UGREEN's MagFlow power bank could come in. This is a MagSafe power bank that simply just snaps onto the back of your iPhone Air just like that. It's solid once it's on there as well, like that's definitely not going to come off. It's also got the QE2 MagSafe certification, which means that it can charge the iPhone 17 and iPhone 16 Pro Max at 25 watts, meaning you can charge from 0 to 50% in just under 40 minutes, which is pretty incredible. What I like about it is just how practical it is. When it's not on my phone, you can carry it around with this little carrying handle, but it's not actually a carrying handle because it's actually got a USB-C connector so you can charge your non-MagSafe equipped devices. It's even got a screen on it as well to tell you how much battery the power bank itself has, and it can charge with a 30-watt adapter in just a couple of hours. But that's not all, because they've also got this neat 2-in-1 foldable charger. This is really good because it can double as sort of a phone stand for your phone, and underneath it there's also a wireless charging pad that you can actually charge your AirPods with. And also it just simply folds up just like that, so it'd be perfect for traveling. And they've even got a 3-in-1 MagFlow charger. So this incorporates a QE2 MagSafe charger. It's got a wireless charging pad for your AirPods and also an Apple Watch charger as well. So this is perfect for charging all of your Apple devices, and it'd be great by your bedside or maybe even on your desk if you want to charge everything together. The MagFlow series is available on Amazon and UGREEN's website. I'll leave the links in the description down below. And also they've got some discounts on available, so make sure to take advantage of them. So with the iPhone Air's efficiency and a beefy power bank, you don't really need to worry about battery anymore, which is the only worry I had about switching to the iPhone Air from my S25 Ultra. To be honest, the display has surprised me. It's actually really bright as well, so that's good when you're outdoors, although to be honest, it doesn't get too bright in the UK where I am. The only thing is, in total darkness, it is a little bit bright. I'm used to using the S25 Ultra, which can go all the way down to 1 nit of brightness. Now I know you shouldn't do this, but if you're in complete darkness and just need to check something on your phone, it's so much better having just 1 nit of brightness compared to whatever this is, because it definitely strains your eyes a lot more. This has got 120 Hz ProMotion, although it's sort of adaptive, so it's probably never actually 120 Hz. But yeah, I'm super happy to see the iPhone Air with a ProMotion screen, because normally the Air line of Apple products never get Pro features, so this is definitely a first. And it's pretty much that, combined with the size and the cameras, was the reason why I always got the Pro Max over the base model. But now the Air has come along and it's a really good middle ground between the two. Now, one interesting thing I've noticed with the iPhone Air is how some apps have kind of tried to adapt to the 6.5-inch screen. You'll see it in some apps, but not others. Kind of like a hybrid where things are kind of squashed on the screen. Things are a little bit too high when they should be sort of moved down with margins. I sound really nerdy right now, but honestly, you do notice it in some apps. You're like, oh, that's a bit high up. Let's get onto the camera system. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush. This camera is a huge downgrade from a Pro Max or S25 Ultra. If you like to zoom in a lot, then don't even bother with this. It can only do 2x zoom, plus a little bit of AI processing. It does not look good at all. Text is just not clear. It looks really mushy, and it's just a massive letdown. I didn't actually realize how much I used the zoom in feature on my Pro Max and my S25 Ultra. It's only when I switched to this that I realized what I was missing. Now on to the small little quirks of the iPhone Air. First of all, it was the setup. This is my first phone without a physical SIM card, so I had to transition over to eSIM. This was actually made quite easy by going onto my carrier's app, applying for an eSIM, and then waiting about an hour for it to transfer from a physical SIM to an eSIM. And then I was finally able to log in on my new carrier app on this phone, transfer the eSIM to this phone, and that's that. If I want to go back to a physical SIM later on, then I'm going to have to buy a new one, which is a bit of a bummer, and it means I won't be able to reactivate the one in my old phone. For a lot of people, this is going to be their first experience of an eSIM only phone, so just make sure that your carrier supports it, and you can go back if you don't want it. I've been having some connectivity issues with Apple CarPlay on my car. You'll be driving along and then your music or your Apple CarPlay will just disconnect. It's a little bit annoying, but it's only happened once or twice, so hopefully it'll be fixed in the future with a software update. The only thing I would say about the iPhone Air is it could do with being £200 to £300 cheaper. I've seen a lot of talk of this online, and it would be a lot more competitively priced at that price range. But yeah, that's just Apple for you. You've always got the Apple tax on everything. I like to have the haptics enabled for my keyboard, so when I'm typing, I get a nice little vibration. But I just didn't feel it at all with the iPhone Air coming from the Pro Max. But it's one of those things that you get used to over time. This next one is the camera control button. I just can't get on with the camera control button, and this has unfortunately come over from the iPhone 16 series. No one really uses it, and it would just look so much cleaner without the camera control button. So yeah, for light users like me, the iPhone Air is more than enough. I've really enjoyed using this actually for the first month. The cameras are probably the weakest point of this phone for me. Maybe in the future we might get 2 cameras. It's not about the performance or the features that stand out to me. It's the small things, the thinness, the lightness, and the battery that can quite easily get me through 2 days at a push. It's just the small things like that that make me reach for the iPhone Air every day. And also the fact that my eSIM's stuck in it now, so unless I want to wait an hour while it transfers over to another phone, I'm kind of stuck with the iPhone Air, but that's not a bad thing whatsoever. But yeah, I think Apple's pretty much nailed the iPhone Air here. It's always the small things that matter to me, and the iPhone Air does that really well. This has been one of Apple's most interesting phones in years. iPhones have been getting boring for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, but the iPhone Air has really been a breath of fresh air. Sorry, I had to make some kind of air joke in this video, but thank you for watching.